a website to sell their products online. That way they don't have to decide, what am I going to do research on? Here you are, do it on these. And those are very important topics for an IS student, so it's very relevant to what they're doing. We're approaching it in terms of a small business operation. So, and I put it in terms of something that products they're familiar with, I hope, and that sort of thing, more so than me. So that end of it is fine. Our next focus is to go back to the entry-level position. We're using a sophomore, maybe junior level computer concepts lab, and we have everything together. We're actually going to kick it off today more than anything else. It's putting together a self-guided screen capture video that shows them how to go look up various resources related very specifically to what we're talking about. So we're actually going to focus on how you find things. I love the comment I made earlier, and I agree with it. I'd be happy if they understood the difference between an academic resource and an industry resource. And that's something we're going to make sure that we get into the deal, because, and I don't mind which one they use, I just want them to understand the difference and be aware of why one is important and why the other is also important, but from a different reason. And I really am kind of vague on this because that's Kim's part of it, and we're going to get into that. But I know what I want in the end, and I know what Robert is going to be capable of doing in his end of it, because his part of it has to be self-guided, self-directed, because it's being done in a computer lab by lab assistants who are basically student workers. So it has to be a standalone product that we produce, that we can hand to them on Blackboard or as a video on a CD and say, here, present this in the lab, or let them do it on their own. It really needs to be self-supporting. And but the other of it is what we want to do then next fall is have Kim come over to a department meeting and say, hey, here's this wonderful little product we've got at the sophomore level. Use it in all your other classes, but I'm not the first one to give a writing assignment. I'm probably the last or near the last. So if we can get other faculty to say, hey, if you didn't have this in the concepts class, because a lot of people test out of it, here it is. Here's a tool you can use to understand how to do research in the library. And by the way, you can do it anytime you want from at home in your pajamas and your bunny slippers. So, and that they consider that important as well. So that's our hope, is to get a product out for the business students in the IS department particularly. And by the way, if the rest of the School of Business wants to use it, we got no ownership. There's no royalties, no user fees. So.
Just remember, is that an online class? Online class, or is just a face-to-face class?
I'm not here now.
The class that you are going to involve, the classes are face-to-face or online?
The lab class, both of them are actually can be. The lab has to be face-to-face. It's strictly a lab setting and run by student workers. My class can be either online or face-to-face. We do it both ways. So then the project that I give is the same for either one. So it does not make any difference. And that again is another good reason to make it self-supporting. Because if it's online, it's really good for that. Especially for people that have tested out of the computer concepts course, have never had the lab, they will not have had this. So by having it available as a downloadable video from Blackboard is great for the online version. Yeah. And we also have some students from College of Sequoia in Visalia that take this course, and they definitely can't come up here for it. So we want to make it independent of the location.
One thing we're hearing, I think, with what everybody's reporting on, is that some of these concepts go across every discipline, every major, every subject, every group. I mean, the same kinds of things that we as librarians are seeing 24/7. You know, like the reference desk, with what students comprehend and don't comprehend about what they're being asked to do, assignments that they have. You know, at any point, they could be at any point where they don't understand the assignment, where they don't understand where to even start, and that kind of thing. And that's universal with any major. And so that's where I think the value of looking at what is being done in class and what assignments are being made in any class, whether it's a business or information systems or women's studies or nursing or public health, it applies to everybody. And that's the whole point. That's the whole point, is that then as a student becomes more information literate, they can apply it in this class they're taking, in that class they're taking, and eventually, ideally, when they're done, they're working in the profession, they're in a hospital, they're in an emergency room, they're in a courtroom, they're in a law office, and these things apply there too. That's
one of the skills that's, you're right, it could be used anywhere, but one of the skills is specific to what we're doing on this one. As Catherine mentioned, instead of looking at the whole big picture, it's a piece, and one of the pieces is choosing a topic, which is very difficult. And we do have a tutorial on that, but what this assignment forces the students to do is to test 3 topics. And a lot of times that's the hardest part, because they don't realize that every topic doesn't have a lot of information. And if you save it for the end, they say, oh, I've chosen this topic, and they're stuck on it, and by the end they find out there's hardly any information on it. So this one helps them see ahead of time, let's check and see what's available. So that's one of those skills that's going to cross, but for this particular one, that's where we're meeting one of the information literacy in the rubric.
All right, so thank you for sharing, and keep working, keep your contact with your librarian, with everybody, and when Monica gets back, we're thinking about maybe a May meeting, but we'll let you know. And we're thinking it could be or it can't be, and but we'll work it out and we'll let everybody know. But the thing is that we want to make sure that we want to make sure that everybody is on track. Yes. And I will be at the university restaurant if anybody wants to be there about 11:30, so we could just get to know each other a little bit more, talk about what's going on. It doesn't have to be information literacy. It could be just about life in general. So you're welcome to be there, to join me there at 11:30 and have a nice lunch. Welcome lunch, so I'll be there. Okay, so thank you so much for coming today.